Welcome back to our Brother 4234 DT serger. In this video we'll be covering different 3-thread stitches that are standard, and we'll get into specific applications in another video. So let's go through basic 3-thread setup for both wide and narrow stitching. First things first, if you are new to your serger, it is good to completely rethread your serger when you're going to change stitches. And it's good to always be in the habit of doing things consistently so you have success every time. When we go to a 3-thread serge, we'll actually be using just one needle thread in either the left or the right position. But good practice to rethread the whole machine anyway, as your threads are all intertwined. When I rethread my machine, I cut the thread at the spools, lift the presser foot, gently encourage those needle threads out, and then gently pull that whole chain right out. You don't want any thread remaining in the system, as it can cause issues down the road. From here, to do a 3-thread wide stitch, we will be removing the right needle. So the right needle is the lower screw. Loosen it gently, but do not remove the screw. You can wiggle that needle out. If you are not using a needle, do remove it from the machine so that it doesn't tangle in your stitch and cause tension issues. After you've removed that needle, just tighten that screw back up so it doesn't jump to freedom. These screws are very small and difficult to see later on. So in this case, we'll be threading our loopers as well as our left needle. So once again, as in a 4-thread serge, if you haven't gone through the 4-thread serge video, you can find it here. Thread with your presser foot up and start with the upper looper. Upper looper, lower looper, and that lower looper, ensure your hand wheel is in the correct position to use your looper release lever. Behind the thread guide, just encourage that looper back to where it goes with a little push. And then through the eye of the looper. And once again, I put the thread up and over. Up and over the upper looper. As I'm threading for a 3-thread wide, I'm going to use my left needle thread, which is the yellow in this case, and follow the same threading path as I always do with that needle. To use the needle threader, push the lever to the left and follow the remainder of the thread guides. You're able to gently thread the needle. Threads under the presser foot, We can close the door, lower the presser foot, return our trim trap, or our cutoff spin, whatever you want to call it, and we can serge away once more. For the most part, serging on a single layer of fabric is not ideal for testing your tension. Always test on 2 layers. So I've left my tensions as they were default in my 4-thread serge for this machine, and I'll use that as my starting point for a 3-thread serge. Three-thread wide serge will look like this. If we would like to switch and do a 3-thread narrow, we can, or we can pop over and do a 3-thread wide rolled hem. Switching from any 3-thread flat stitch to a rolled hem stitch is very straightforward. Small tension adjustment, and we'll be removing the stitch finger. So I'll lift the presser foot, pull the chain off the stitch finger, and then we'll remove the stitch finger from the machine. Removing the stitch finger will keep the threads curling instead of laying flat like they were when it was in there. There's a top secret stitch finger storage spot in the slide-on cover of the machine, so that you don't lose this when it's not in use. Tuck it into the cover and save it for later. Most serger stitches from here on out in all our videos are just a variation of tension and the other settings on the machine. They fall into 3 basic categories: a flat serge, rolled hem, and flat lock. So there is almost all the stitches a serger can do derive from those 3 basic stitches. So this is a 3-thread wide rolled hem. So for a rolled hem, we'll be increasing, don't use this chart, we'll be increasing our lower looper tension upward to somewhere between 7 and 9. Increase our lower looper tension. This will pull the stitch tight to the back. We'll leave our upper looper tension alone, and we'll leave our needle tension alone. And we've removed the stitch finger. Rolled hems are generally done on a single layer of fabric as a finishing technique. Common places to find a rolled hem would be something like an infinity scarf, napkins, hem of a dress, those sorts of places. And we will also adjust the stitch length down to R. Depending on your threads and your fabrics, this may not roll as tightly as you want, and generally a 3-thread rolled hem is done with a narrow setting, not a wide needle setting. But it is pulling through to the back, and the fabric is curling gently. We want to return and do another 3-thread serge in a regular stitch, and return our tension back to our default and put our stitch finger back in.